This is the story of the conspiracy that Dan Brown missed. More significant than the Da Vinci Code, it's a story that has been hidden for more than 2,000 years. It goes right back to the very beginnings of Christianity, and if true, could rock everything that Christians believe in. It's the story of the people who were closest to Jesus, the people who shared his bloodline. In this film, I will decode the Bible and other ancient texts to reveal for the first time the real story of Jesus' family. Because I believe that Jesus had brothers and sisters, cousins, aunts, uncles and nephews, a large extended family that existed for at least 300 years after his death and played a crucial role in the founding of Christianity. That their original message was too dangerous for the new religion, and that the official church stole their movement and then tried to delete them from the story. One of the most controversial incidents in Jesus' life is when he was baptized, and in particular, the role played by John the Baptist. I believe that John is absolutely crucial to the story of Jesus and how he begins his messianic mission to change the world. And there is strong evidence to suggest that John and Jesus not only worked together, they were also related.
People often don't think about this, but Jesus and John the Baptist are very close. They're part of the same family. It has to do with Mary, the mother of Jesus, and Elizabeth, the mother of John the Baptist. In the Gospels, we've got a word in Greek, sungenes, which means kin person. It could be cousin, it could be aunt, but it's clearly part of the same extended family.
Hi, how you doing?
But as with the rest of Jesus' blood family, the Bible writers have done their best to downgrade John's real status.
If anyone shoots, you just hide behind the vehicles or any other thing you can find.
Thank you. Okay, I'll do that.
Today, the site of Jesus' baptism is a closed-off military zone on the River Jordan, and you need special permission to visit it. The idea of Jesus having a real blood family was too dangerous for the early church fathers, as it challenged his divine status. So they simply removed them from the story.
I think what happens with the family in general is once you exalt Jesus and Mary to such a heavenly position so that they're barely human, if human at all, then there's this tendency not only to lose sight of the others, but to even deny their importance.
Oh, wow.
But I believe that as well as Joseph and Mary, Jesus had 4 brothers, 2 sisters, aunts, uncles, nephews, nieces, and at least 1 cousin.
John's mentioned, but only to point to the main guy. You picture John as pointing to Jesus, when in fact he was the inaugurator. He was the one who instituted the movement that Jesus joined.
Amazingly, in the Bible, there is a crucial passage in the Gospel of Luke in which Jesus talks to a crowd of people and acknowledges John's key role.
What then did you go out to see? A prophet? Yes, I tell you, and more than a prophet.
Now, there's no one except Moses that's ever called more than a prophet in the Bible. Being a prophet is very great. So in effect, Jesus is saying, yeah, he's a prophet, but he's more than a prophet. He said he's the messenger that was promised that is coming to prepare the way of the Lord.
Later, in the very same passage, Jesus emphasizes John's importance even further.
I tell you, among those born of women, none is greater than John.
But this idea that John could be greater than Jesus was just too dangerous for the editors of the Bible. So an extra phrase was later added to put John down, a phrase that didn't exist in the earliest source of this saying.
I tell you, among those born of women, none is greater than John. Yet the one who is least in the kingdom of God is greater than he.
A pious editor quickly adds, as a kind of a gloss, but the least in the kingdom is greater than John. And I really doubt if Jesus said that. Jesus being baptized by John is actually putting himself in a kind of disciple relationship with John. And I know that's shocking to people because they immediately think, oh, no, it's the other way around. But when Jesus is asked about John, he says that. He says that very thing.
The true nature of this relationship between John and Jesus has been an acute embarrassment to the church for the last 2,000 years. Father Aliata is an expert on John's traditional story.
It is not clear, I think, that Jesus was a disciple of John the Baptist. It doesn't appear nowhere.
But in the book of John, the first chapter, there's a big debate about who is the Messiah. Is it John or is it Jesus? Who's sent from God? Why were people discussing that after the death of Jesus? Why was it such a big issue?
Yes, because certainly John the Baptist was a very, very important prophet. Jesus himself says it is the more important person of the old alliance, but the smallest in the new covenant is greater than John the Baptist. So it is a very important person, but more important is the new thing that Jesus is giving to the world now.
For most Christians today, the idea that John the Baptist was Jesus' rabbi, his teacher, is still inconceivable. But right at the heart of Christianity is something that disproves this: the origins of our most famous prayer.
Okay. Now there's one thing they share that is very, very interesting, and this is the prayer Jesus taught his disciples, the Our Father. Let your kingdom come, let your will be done on earth. Give us this day our daily bread. This is the signature prayer that Jesus taught his disciples.
أوبح في بشمو يتكتش اسمخ استير ملكوثخ يتكنش بعيلة.
The Gospel of Luke introduces the Lord's Prayer with Jesus' disciples asking him to teach them to pray as John had done.
كفر ليح تيوتح أقبل أنا عن خطرين تي أحد ليح ولا تعلي لنا حب تغربتا.
Now it's usually understood to mean John taught his disciples to pray, so teach us to pray, maybe like a different prayer. But if you look at the Greek, it can very well imply, teach us that prayer that John taught his disciples. And I think if you look at the elements of the prayer, you can make a very good case that Jesus and John both share this prayer as kind of, I would call it the core of their message.
هوش والعلم العلماء آمين.
So maybe John first came up with that prayer.
Just a few miles from John's traditional home, there is new physical evidence of the importance of his role in Jesus' life story. In 1999, while conducting a routine archaeological survey, Dr. Shimon Gibson found the opening to an ancient cave.
So, this is the cave of John the Baptist.
Wow, please come in.
The cave contains archaeological evidence that it was used for ritual baptism during the time of Jesus and John.
What leads you to believe that this is the cave of John the Baptist?
Well, you can see very faint scratchings in the walls. In fact, these are deeply incised drawings. You can see the figure of John the Baptist, and he's got upraised arms, and he's got the hairy garment which is referred to in the Gospels. That's quite clearly depicted. Then on the other side, you have the head of John the Baptist over here. This actually would then relate to the decapitation, the death of John the Baptist. So in a way, with this symbol, you have the end of the story of John the Baptist in the Gospels.